Welcome to the boot. It's time for the top 10 World Cup goals of 2014. Let's break them down. All right, the first one is going to be 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿 from Switzerland versus Honduras. And as we go through, I'm going to ask what you see on some of these freeze frames. But here you see a great connection by 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿 outside the penalty area. So long distance shot, he's going to go ahead and take it with his laces. It is surprising how many players score with the side of their feet, even from distance, because it often looks like the laces, but it's not. But good form by 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿. I like that the defender is putting his foot out. He's not turning away in fear like so many defenders do. And let's see what happens. Inch perfect, just about upper left corner. Keeper cannot extend far enough. Uh-oh, Honduras fan in the background there, not too happy. But let's have number 2. Messi, Argentina versus Nigeria. So this is actually going to be a free kick. Let's see. He hits it in the upper right corner and does his classic celebration, up and down. And here's a bird's eye view, literally. Brazil had so many great angles in this World Cup. The keeper was way over to Messi's left, couldn't make it all the way back. We'll talk sometime about how I question the setup of walls a lot of times. But number 3 is going to be Messi, and this is going to be Argentina versus Bosnia. So Messi has just passed the ball to 𝐿𝐨𝐵𝐿 under the yellow arrow, who does a really nice give and go here, really with the side of his foot, maybe even a little bit of his back heel. And Messi continues the run. There's a Bosnia player between him and the ball, but he has the pace and he already has the momentum, the extra step with the give and go. So it comes back to Messi. In fact, Messi kind of steals it from his teammate, like, get out of my way. I've got this. What do you see here? It looks like Bosnia's defense is in a pretty decent shape, pretty decent line. They've got 4 in the back, but there's quite a gap between the two pairs there. So too much of a gap, and Messi's going to exploit it by pulling them to him, as we see here. He hops over one of the defenders, got him to commit and go to ground, which happens all too often. So he didn't need to go to ground there, and it left Messi with a shot here. And Messi puts it into the lower corner, left corner there. We'll have a different view here coming up. So Messi is just about to pass the ball with his right foot to 𝐿𝐵𝐿. Again, the best players in the world just easily use either foot. Yeah, looks like sort of the outside of his foot, but 𝐿𝐵𝐿 has managed to attract a double team. Messi beats the defender to the ball. And this is where it gets real interesting. He has a chance to take a shot here, but he wants this last defender to our right to commit, which he does. Instead of drawing the foul there, which wouldn't be necessarily a great location for a free kick because it's so close to the goal that he might hit the wall, he jumps over the defender. We see so many players that go to ground too easily. One reason Messi has racked up so many goals is he knows that the referee in these cases is going to play advantage. So he's got, 2 chances, 2 bites at the apple here. And then shot with the left foot. Here's another angle. See how he jumps over the defender's back leg. The defender actually gets faked out quite a bit, but at least tries to put his left leg behind him, which is sometimes pretty effective. Messi hurdles him, going super fast, and then just great technique. Referee gets a beautiful view. And again, with these freeze frames, you can see how football is a game of inches so many times. The ball is just barely getting by the defenders. All right, we're on to Spain versus Australia. We typically have a couple different angles here, but what I want to show you here is David Villa. He finds a great spot in the 6-yard box, 6-yard area rather. So it's just him and the keeper, and one defender between him and the keeper. So in split second, he makes a really critical decision here. He actually chooses to kick the ball behind his front foot. So that way he doesn't have the defender block his shot. So it's pretty cheeky by Villa. Good for him. Love David Villa. Let's look at it this way. First off, let me just back up one frame here, sorry. Pretty interesting that Villa's teammate is able to actually nutmeg the Australian defender, so that helped a ton. Now Villa really is open enough, but decides, hey, I still am going to be cheeky here. The keeper is not going to be able to react quickly when I do this. Or quick enough. This is another good angle. Again, going through the defender's legs. And sometimes when folks try this behind the front leg, they don't have to redirect too hard because there's a lot of pace on the ball, but this was not the hardest pass or the longest pass. So Villa knew he was at the 6-yard line there. He knew he had to really put some mustard on it. So he gets airborne for this, and it's so critical. We go over a lot of amazing technique by the best players in the world, and that's one of the things that doesn't get noticed typically, like in even slow motion replays. But when you break it down to freeze frame, the reason for that is the players have so much more balance when they're actually airborne. So it's maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but sometimes when you're planted too much on the ground, even with one foot, it doesn't give you the flexibility at the last second to do what you want to do. So he pushes it very hard. You can see his neck turned and everything. By the time the keeper realizes what's going on, it's just too late. All right. Well, Australia makes the cut here, though, next. The phenomenal Tim Cahill volley from Australia, for Australia against the Netherlands. Look, there's not too many times when you see a volley off of such a long pass. So this is started on the outside here. He's going to ping it all the way on the other side of the field near the penalty area, and Cahill is just going to flat out one-time it. So it already has a pretty good amount of speed on it, but Cahill does wind up and just hits an absolute bullet. So let's have a look. Ball's in the air. Still in the air. It's going over the defender's head. That was a really nice assist, you have to say. And then Cahill just launches into it. We'll get a better angle again. I always like to start, or typically like to start with the bird's eye view so you get a good overview here. There's not much to be said in terms of defensive shape or anything. I mean, this is just an outstanding ping and then an outstanding volley. It wasn't even really in the top corner of the net, but the velocity just overwhelmed the goalkeeper by the time he could figure out where it was. So let's have a look here. This ball is coming in. This is like a 70-yard ping, so not easy at all to try to volley this and time it to perfection. And he does, though. He hits it with the laces. All right, let's see what's next. This is a free kick, Brazil. Let's see, this is Brazil versus Colombia. So what a classic matchup. Look at all the yellow shirts in the stands between Brazil and Colombia. It was a sea of yellow for all of you who remember too. That was such an awesome tournament. Luis just winds up. I think it's kind of curious that he took the free kick, but hindsight's 20/20, and he comes up with a doozy here. When you have folks like Neymar on your team, I typically expect them to do it, but Luis runs up from probably 20 yards away and just belts it into the upper right corner. Here's another bird's eye view. Again, wasn't necessarily in the corner, but it started to fade away from the keeper. And at this point, the ball, if you can see it, is right next to the heads of the wall. So it's about halfway there. The keeper is still trying to see it and judge it. And then, well, that is pretty close to the corner, closer than I remembered. So not much the keeper could do with that one. That was a bullet. Here's a good view. Leaning back with the Hulk watching. He does hit it with the side of his foot, though. And this is really interesting. When we break down exactly how goals are scored with these freeze frames, we see so much. And I'm surprised, frankly, myself, that he gets enough power on it with the side of his foot. But keep in mind, it's harder to get your laces on it when the ball is actually resting on the ground with a free kick as opposed to bouncing in the air a little bit. So well done by Luis. All right, the next one here is going to be the big one, the one in the World Cup final. Super Mario for Germany, breaking Argentina's hearts and mine a little bit. But this is just wonderful technique. One of the themes you see on our show quite a bit is we like to give a lot of love to the assists. We just feel like still in the world of football, those who make the assists don't get as much love as they should. And it's really ironic. If you look at American football, for example, the star is the quarterback. And probably not many have thought of it this way, but the quarterback in American football gets the assists. I mean, occasionally the quarterback will run in the end zone for a touchdown, which would be the goal equivalent for football. But, in football, the goal scorer gets almost all the glory. But anyway, a great assist here by Schuler through two defenders. And he knows that. He slows the ball down and just pings it. Not too hard, but just perfect pace on the ball to get it over the defender that is to Mario's left. And really, this is the only opportunity that Germany has, right? This is a bit of a fast break. This is an added time in the World Cup final, Germany versus Argentina. And Mario or Super Mario is making a run. This is actually a really hard cross because typically if you're going to cross from that area, especially to try to get it through two defenders, you want to put quite a bit of pace on the ball. Plus, you are used to crossing it further in near the 6-yard box and sort of at the center of the goal. So this was just a phenomenal touch to just sort of chip it over the two defenders, over the third defender, and then let's see what happens. It's in the air now, so it's gotten over the defender on Mario. And what does he do? He's too far away to head the ball. Okay, these are all things that the best players in the world are factoring in milliseconds. And a lot of times, maybe he or other players would have tried a header here. And that could have worked if he headed the ball perfectly into the upper right corner and sort of lobbed it over the keeper. But it's such a tight angle at this point. I've trademarked a description on the field called the quality zone, which is really the 6-yard box extended out to the 18-yard line, which is where about 95% of goals are scored. So he knows he's got a really tight angle here. So he's going to take it down with his chest. But even what surprised me is it's very difficult to volley the ball off your chest and then volley it in midair before it hits the ground. You typically want it to hit the ground so you can set your feet a tiny bit, plus have a little bit of a look at goal. Obviously, Mario has hardly any sight of goal right now because he's tracking the ball from the opposite direction and trying to chest it perfectly. So ball goes up in the air here, and before it hits the ground, he's already decided, I'm going to lash this into the side of the net, far side of the net, low. I'm not going to try to dink it. Argentina's keeper, I think, is positioned fine. And Mario just comes up with one of the great goals of the World Cup, in the history of the World Cup. So it smashes into the side of the net, and Germany has a 1-0 lead with time running out. So this is a different angle where you're going to see just a wonderful chest. There it is. It's like he's catching the ball with his chest. That's just the way you want to do it. You don't want it to hit your shoulders and bounce too far away. And then look at that. Now this one is interesting because he hits it with his laces. Just the way he is sort of sliding into it would be very difficult to hit with the inside of his foot. It could be done, but I think Mario wanted to make sure he got enough power on it because the keeper was so close. He knew it was going to be just a fraction of an inch that he could get it by him. And sure enough, it is. So froze it right here. It looks like it's literally hitting the keeper's arm or the hair on his arm. So game of inches. And then back of the net. And then we have 𝐿 Rodriguez from Colombia. And this is against Japan. He's on the lower part of the screen here. It's a fast break. You think he's going to shoot here, right? It sure looks like it. I'm not sure really. The Japan defender looks like he's already out of juice. And he's kind of hoping maybe that 𝐿 is going to shoot from there because it's a tough angle. It's far away. But he's going to still come over to the ball. And 𝐿 is just going to toy with him. So 𝐿 cuts to the right. And typically that's what you see, right, from that zone. You see players cut hard inside towards the center of the goal and then just unleash. Partly because I'm not sure I've ever seen 𝐿 use his right foot. He's going to cut back to his left side on the next frame. It's actually a worse angle, but he certainly turns this defender around. And frankly, it's not often that you see a defender fall over or literally get turned around these days, but 𝐿 does it. On the biggest stage, you can see the defender is turning around now, and he's frankly about to fall down. So, the keeper has done a decent job coming out. I think, my opinion is he's left too much of the near post. But let's see what 𝐿 does. Yeah, 𝐿 is going to chip him. Now, the keeper did come over and cover the near post there, so probably a great decision by 𝐿. He knew that no other defenders were far enough back. He could just chip it in softly. It almost looked like the ball wasn't going to make it over the line. And then you could see the defender falling down here, laying down. 𝐿 over to celebrate with the fans in front of another sea of yellow. And welcome to the big time. So he ended up with the golden boot, and as a young player, this pretty much made his career. We're not done with 𝐿 in this, but let's take a look. He does fake to the inside, and boy, this defender looks pretty tall and lanky, so it's already going to be tough for him. And what I like here is how 𝐿 chops the ball. I mean, this is classic Messi dribbling. Just chopping the ball with the outside of your foot to change directions. And this is where the defender just totally gets turned around. He's about to fall over. And 𝐿 has taken one little peek up when he had a tiny bit of time when he pushed the ball away. And it's really cool to see that in these freeze frames again, when the players look up, just the little tiny subtleties that make these guys superstars. Keeper does get his hand up pretty well, but 𝐿 got it just enough to the side to put it in. And it just makes it inside the near post, or the far post rather. All right, what do we have here? Robin van Persie, Netherlands versus Spain. This is a little bit like Cahill's goal for Australia. So it's a quite a ping. So we got to give credit to on the assist here. You can't even really see Van Persie, but he's basically stride for stride with the defender in white for Spain. And so the guy making the assist is just going to try to ping it and see if Van Persie can outrun the defender. So the ball's in the air there under the arrow, and this is just iconic. Van Persie just decides, okay, I'm going to head the ball from the 18-yard line, which is just so rare. And you would have to have quite a bit of pace on a cross or a pass to be able to even think about doing this. So, again, these guys are calculating so many things in real time. It's crazy. And so he had looked up and he had seen that the keeper, 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿, was a little bit off his line. Really not too much, though. So it was pretty unnervy because he had plenty of time to bring the ball down. So if Van Persie hadn't scored, his coach probably would have been like, hey, could you not have brought that down and taken a really good shot on goal? Because you knew that you were beating your main defender by a stride, 1 or 2 strides. And again, that was based on momentum. You see that a lot. It's not that a lot of these forwards or strikers are that much faster than the defenders. It's just all about timing and getting an extra step. But he decides, yeah, you know what? I'm going to surprise the keeper. And so there's the ball in midair. The iconic Superman looking flight in midair too, just topped it off, right? 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿 is in a little bit of shock. The keeper in yellow there. What's going on here? Probably, what do you guys think? Put it in the comments below. Could 𝐁𝐞𝐬𝐿 have done better? The short answer is yes, but no. You just got to wonder. I mean, the keeper got rooted there. That's, common phrase for keepers that just kind of get stuck. Could he have saved it? There are so many goals we're going to show you on this channel, or we do show you, where, frankly, the top keepers in the world can and do save some of these shots. So there's a really overused phrase that we hear a lot on TV, all of us, the keeper had no chance. But the fact is, when you break this down into freeze frames, the keeper has a chance on a lot of these. So Van Persie lands on his stomach, still watching the ball. And it is in the net. Classic Van Persie with that, blowing air with his cheeks, just massive relief. I've seen that before on him, coming over to cheer with the team. And here's a reverse angle. I figured you all would like that photo, even though the ball's not in the photo there. Just Superman. It is interesting too. If you back up one slide here, he's got to do more of a turn with the ball than a lot of people may recognize too. Remember, this ball is coming like over his left shoulder. So he did have to generate a fair amount of power. Yes, there was some pace on the cross, but he knew that. He had to redirect it accurately to goal, so quite a bit of angle change. But that's part of the reason he decided to go ahead and push off the ground and use that force. He knew he didn't have enough power in his neck, which is usually where we get that power from for headers, but he was pretty canny here. He decided, you know what, I'm going to just spring off the ground here. He doesn't have a lot of ups, but he used the pressure from the ground well in this case, or the force. Keeper's looking up, keeper is rooted, and it just goes right in. And then the last but not least, James Rodriguez again. So James is sort of in the middle of your screen here. The ball is more to the left side end of the arrow, and his teammate's going to head it to him. And these are the little things, again, that just never cease to amaze me. I'll just back up one slide here, but he has the presence of mind, as this ball is in the air, to turn and see where the defenders are. And we see this often with these great players, is even when a pass is coming to them, even on the ground, and it's fairly crowded, they manage to look up. So, the best players have this vision, but the reason they have this vision is because they have this ability and the confidence to take your eye off the ball in a huge moment in the World Cup. So next one, you see he's going to chest it too. Wow, it's interesting the number of chested goals in this World Cup. So this is also common to the one we saw earlier too from Super Mario, where the ball does not hit the ground. And I think that's part of what captivated the world in this goal and surprised the keeper. So his back is to goal. He's outside the 18-yard area, and he decides, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So I know where the goal is. It's not moving. I'm just going to put it in the upper left corner from, 27 yards or something. So different angle here. Another thing too is things don't go always according to plan. this ball actually doesn't get as far away from his body as he would have liked. I mean, that ball is almost touching his nose on the way down. But he has still the ability to adjust his body more than usual and move his hips further to the right than he normally would to be able to hit that. That is not an ideal position to hit the ball. It would be the ball would be about 6 inches further away from him. So he still pulls this off, and we hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe, share, comment, and like. Take care.